There we go. Cool. Alright, first thing we're going to do is go to setting. Starting from the top. This is all, every single one of these is explained in great detail in the book. Signal wire from RPM enabled. 8 coils. RPM multiplier would be like we did on the other truck. If we're looking, if we get a weird signal, let's say we're really idling at 800 and it's showing 1600, we would want to multiply it down to till we get the right signal. Don't usually need to use that, but if you do, you can change the setting until you find the right RPM. Threshold RPM signal. This is if you have certain types of vehicles. I've never had to use it. It's just described in the book. Switch over RPM. This would be if we wanted to switch on acceleration or deceleration, what RPM we'd want it to hit. I'm pretty confident this will switch over just fine at idle, so I'm going to set it at 300. Oh, we need to set this to acceleration mode. So you can set it to switch over on acceleration or deceleration. I usually choose acceleration, but in either case, it's going to switch over to idle at 300 RPM. Water temperature. Typically 40-45 degrees, somewhere in that range. We'll stick with 40 for now. Petrol start delay. What this is telling us that it's going to wait 5 seconds from the time you start it. If all the parameters are met for switchover, it won't switch over immediately. It will start, wait 5 seconds, and then switch over. I typically leave it at 5. You could do 0, in which case it would actually crank and start on CNG when all the parameters are met. Injector delay sequence. This is what will offset the time which each injector switches over. So instead of going from gasoline to CNG, hitting all 8 injectors at one time, this will go one by one for whatever value you give it. So if we set it to 1, it would wait 1 injection cycle between each injector. So it'd be relatively rapid. Makes for a really good switch over. I'm going to set it at 5. Fuel overlap. This is where it would be double fueling. You would be spraying gasoline and CNG while it's switching over. I usually don't have good luck with this. You can play with it if you have really hard, difficult switch over.
Wouldn't you kind of be flooding the cylinder?
Yeah. Sometimes it likes that when it's switching over. So certain vehicles, I've never had good luck with it, but it's a nice feature to have to play with. Emergency start. This is a cool function. This is where if you hold down the switch with the key off and turn it on, it will open the lock-off valves and start up on CNG. So I always leave that enabled because there's no downside to leaving it enabled. It only does that if you do that trick with the switch. Services. This one is our secondary lock-off. So you saw how we had the 2 extra lock-off wires that would normally go to the tank. Services. It's described really good in the book. I've never needed to use it, but you can actually make those wires do other functions. If you have another solenoid or something that you want to, any 12-volt source, you can control it in here to do different things with that. So we leave it disabled since we're using it for its intended purpose. Lambda is disabled. We didn't hook that up. These are the stock settings for the temperature sensors that we have. 8-cylinder. We're working with CNG. This injector type is HANA injectors. So we're going to select HANA. Now when we select those injectors, it changed the open time and the sensitivity, so I'm not going to mess with that because it's preset for those particular injectors. So if I switch it to a different type of injector, you see it's going to change. It's going to change those numbers because it's already preset in here. Well, those are the same. Yeah. Turbo engine. It's not a turbo engine. Injector heating. I haven't used this yet, but what it does is before it ever switches over, it will start cycling the CNG injectors, which theoretically will heat them up a little bit before it ever starts injecting CNG. If you're in a really cold climate, you could play with that. I haven't had the chance to do that yet, but it's kind of a cool function. Injector setting, you can go in here and you can you can actually shut off individual injectors like we saw in the Technocarb software. So you could disable injector 1, or you can switch it to gasoline for diagnostic purposes.
Like a dead zone or
Yeah, exactly.
a single injection.
Mm-hmm.
We can.
Yeah, and this shows you your petrol injection time and your your CNG injection time. So there's a lot of cool functions in here. You can actually make a individual injector correction. I don't know why you would need to, but you have the ability to do that. End of fuel management. This here is our switchover parameters from when we run out of fuel to switch back to gasoline. Of course, we want that enabled. This is telling us that when it drops below 0.5 bar for more than 0.2 seconds, it's going to switch over. I usually leave that the way it is. You can mess with it if you have a reason to. Sequential change back. I think what that does is it starts to phase out injectors on the way back. I don't see any reason to do that, but it is an option. The manometer that we have, gas level sensor, is an 806, I think. Yeah, it's an 806. So we want to select that. Then we can actually go in here, Wayne.
Yep.
This is what I was going to show you on the other. Exact same type of thing. Our current setting, real-time value, is 4.8 volts. Filtered value. So 0.195, 0.2. Something doesn't seem right there. But we can actually come in here. We don't really need to, but you can change how the gauge reads. This is the default setting. Let's say, this is our fourth green light, third green light, second green light, and first green light. So if we want it to run longer before it turns off the last green light, you could actually manipulate here the voltage setting so it stays on longer, or you can make it so full tank lasts longer. So you can manipulate how the gas gauge is actually reading by changing these voltages.
Now, what do? Do you just touch those arrows on the left and right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you see right now it's showing 1.51.
Okay.
And then I can go back to default. It'll set it back right where I started.
Okay.
Okay, so that's our basic setup. We've gone through everything. So now we should be able to start it.
To turn that gas on.
Yeah, let's turn the gas on, thanks. We also need to adjust our regulator. That's going to be a nightmare.
Right on the bottom.
Why do you have to adjust that regulator and we didn't have to touch mine?
Because yours is yours isn't supplying the entire engine with it. So we and also I noticed on yours we were 28 at idle. When we were under boost, it was up to 45. So yours is changing based on boost. And do we have a leak?
No.
I'm hearing a leak.
Yeah.
You hear it?
Yeah.
It's over here where my finger is.
Yeah.
Soapy water. Do you have a spray bottle and soapy water?
Sure.
Nice.